War has been expanding throughout the Middle East, and the terror imposed by ISIS continues to grow. So today we will discuss how the US is now claiming that ISIS and Assad are partners in Syria. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. I want to get into this bombshell news today and discuss the fact that previously how they were saying that ISIS and Syria were the opposite, and now today in 2015 they are saying they're working together. They are now flipping this scenario, and people are not figuring this out, but here we're going to connect the dots and show you exactly how that's working. Let's begin with this right out of the Pentagon, and Judicial Watch has the documents. When they refer to AQI, that's Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and ISI is the Islamic State of Iraq. And they're actually suggesting here the truth that ISIS and Al-Qaeda are one in the same. This is a very true situation. I'm glad that they admitted here, at least at the Pentagon. And what they say here is that they're calling on the Sunnis in Iraq, especially the tribes in the border regions between Iraq and Syria, to wage war against the Syrian regime. Regarding Syria as an infidel regime for its support for the infidel party Hezbollah and other regimes, and so on and so forth. So right here they are saying that ISIS is in fact against the regime of Syria. That is the truth. It's coming right out of the Pentagon's information. Judicial Watch has this data. You can see it for yourself. This is the truth. This is what they've said. But now they're claiming the exact opposite in the mainstream media. This is the document that you need to reference when you need to prove that they are in fact flipping the script. Let's move on to this here. This is U.S. accuses Syria of backing Islamic State's Aleppo advance. This is out of Reuters. I want to move on further into the article. Reports indicate that the regime is making airstrikes in support of ISIL's advance on Aleppo, aiding extremists against the Syrian population. What they say is simply that the regime is protecting and allowing this to occur for particular reasons, which they get into in this article here. The Syrian army is fighting Islamic State in all areas, whereas it is present in Syria, according to a military source. They're going to come up with all these different excuses and all these different reasons why this is occurring. The fact remains is that we need to go back in time, reference the documents, reference the truth, and understand that they are simply using this as an excuse to then bomb Syria. No longer are they going to be bombing the outskirts, but they want to invade with boots on the ground. This is going to be their way to get in, because the people don't like ISIS. ISIS is in fact, raging war all over the Middle East. And they're doing so aggressively. They're expanding. They have all these new Humvees, as I just described in my previous video. They have every reason and all the money and everything they can to do so successfully, and they're actually not just some sort of rebel force. They are an army, a powerful one in the Middle East. They're going to use this as an excuse for the US and NATO and all these other coalitions to come in and bomb the heck out of Syria. This is out of 2014. Look at this historically. Iraq confirms Syria airstrikes against ISIS militants. So here is Iraq, out of the BBC, confirming that Syria bombed ISIS. So now they're working together in a year, 1 year ago from today approximately, and now all of a sudden they're enemies. The Prime Minister of Iraq has confirmed to the BBC News that Syria carried out airstrikes on ISIS militants this week. Yes, it could be false. We don't know who to believe, but this is the mainstream media bringing out this information. And if we take it at face value, last year they hated each other and this year they're partners. Something doesn't really add up here, and I'm pointing my finger. This is from my book where I talked about Syria, talked about the Middle East tension, international tension thickening as the West is putting increasing pressure on Syria, including sanctions, which makes it difficult to do trade. this is important, Russia and China leaders have publicly opposed these actions. And I'm quoting them saying, outside forces should not interfere in the internal processes of the country, of the region. Now, we have a huge amount of force here, particularly with Russia protecting Syria. We also have Iran, which is in Syria. We know that they don't want anything to happen to Syria. This is very, very crucial to note. I also note further at the bottom that Libya and Syria are going to be mirroring each other. If this happens in the exact same way, look at what's happened within Libya. Hold that thought for a moment. I'll bring it up later on in this video here. Just wanted to note this. Out of the Daily Beast, U.S. warplanes have launched airstrikes near Hasaka in recent weeks, and the NDF has stepped up its offensive against the ISIS militants there as well. I believe this article was back from 2014, but regardless, doesn't matter. What we're looking at here is more of this propaganda that they put out. What do we believe? Do we believe the data from last year? Do we believe the data from this year? It doesn't matter. The fact remains is that they're using all of this against us. The truth is being really hidden from us, and I just need to note that the information is out there. We have the Pentagon document, and now we have what they are saying today out of Reuters, out of any of these different channels that we see. It doesn't matter. Look for the truth. As I mentioned before, ISIS comes to Libya. This data is, a little outdated at the moment. Wanted to show you specifically that first we have Libya getting taken out by these different militants that are coming in, rebels, mujahideen, whatever you want to call them. It is all being funded by the West. We know that specifically. We have seen the documentation of that. I've brought that up here. And Libya is in absolute shambles at the moment. This is what they're trying to do with Syria as well. If they can get away with it successfully, this will be yet one more country knocked off its feet and allowed for the pack of wolves to devour it. That's what's going on right now. They're working very hard. They've slowed down on everything they've done. They wanted to go in a couple years back, couldn't have that opportunity, but they are again pursuing this and using ISIS as the mode of basically that channel inward. All the while this is going on, you have all these wars and everything that's taking place. ISIS is expanding. ISIS threatens the UK. They threaten Canada and the US. And whether it's Al-Qaeda today or ISIS tomorrow, doesn't matter. There is always this threat. Meanwhile, we have this. HSBC poised to unveil thousands more job cuts. I've been bringing up all the job cuts recently. And of course, since I've begun the channel, essentially, where we have post-financial crisis, a major collapse that is occurring financially, but the people are distracted by other things, such as the fact that perhaps they don't have a job. I've noted in the previous video how certain indicators are showing a 20% increase in poverty every single year since the financial crisis. These are shocking and startling figures, but the people are distracted. They're distracted by war. They're in fear. They are not paying attention to the real data, partially because of the foolishness. They're not looking into it on their own, but also at the same time, they have more important issues to deal with. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I'd like to get into this type of geopolitical scenarios as well as the financial scenarios. Hope you do enjoy that. Please give me a thumbs up to note that you do. And last but not least, if you like this video, I know that you will find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. And you can actually look through the book. If you go over to Amazon, they have a look inside feature. You can flip through the book and see if you like it for yourself. Take care.